Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show, yes, I'm back. This show originally aired on the Premiere Network on Saturday, April 20th, 2019. This is episode 1584. Enjoy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Yeah, it's time to talk computers and the internet and home theater and, digital photography and the smartphones and your smartwatches and all those digital doodads that are changing everything we know in all sorts of interesting and unexpected ways. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number, 888-827-5536, 8888 Ask Leo. And that's a toll-free number. You can call me anywhere in the U.S. or Canada from that number. It's actually free around the world if you use Skype or something like that to make the call. 8888 Ask Leo. We will put all of our show notes, all of our answers to questions, everything that happens on the show up on our website so you don't have to remember anything or heaven forfend while you're driving around town doing your errands today, write anything down. Yeah. Please keep your hands on the wheel, unless you're in one of them fun self-driving cars, in which case, by all means, write everything down. Do whatever you want. Do a crossword puzzle. The website is techguylabs.com, techguylabs.com. Thank you so much to Rich DeMuro, who filled in for me last week. I hear it went excellently well. Thank you, Rich. I appreciate that. I'm back from Hawaii. But, of course, even it's an occupational hazard. Even when I'm, on vacation, I can't help it. I have to check the tech news, read it, see what's going on. I just can't bring myself to ignore what's happening in the world. And, of course, as always, there's a lot going on. A lot of bad Facebook news, I have to say. How bad does it have to get before? I guess at this point with Facebook, nothing's going to change now. Because if you haven't left Facebook, if you haven't thrown up your hands and said, privacy is, non-existent at Facebook, safety and security is not even existent, we now know, and they released this at the same day as the Mueller report was released, which strikes me as an attempt to kind of hide it under the larger news story. Facebook says, some millions of Instagram passwords were leaked. Oh, come on. This on top of the fact that many Facebook passwords were leaked. That it's an endless litany that just goes on and on and on. In fact, Facebook initially said hundreds of thousands of Instagram passwords. Now it's millions. This is how it works. Oh, since we told you we discovered additional logs of Instagram passwords being stored in a readable format. We now estimate this issue impacted millions of users. But don't worry, we're going to let you know. They were not internally abused or improperly accessed. Okay. Went from thousands to millions. And this is the Facebook way, isn't it? Dribble it out. I'm starting to think it's not accidental. I'm really starting to think that this is kind of a malign company, that they got their morals tangled. Big, long story from NBC News. Mark Zuckerberg leveraged Facebook user data to fight rivals and help friends, leaked documents show. Facebook says these are cherry-picked documents. They're not, this is not really representative, but it's internal emails and other information in which Facebook employees and Mark himself said, what we're going to do is give the data to these guys. Amazon's really a good partner. They're working on the Fire Phone release with us. Let's give them user data. And no, this messaging app is a real threat to us. Make sure you cut them off at the knees. I mean, look, that's business as usual, except that it's our data. Well, it's not mine because I long ago, as of August, deleted my Facebook account because it's just appalling. Maybe others should consider it. But the reason I think Facebook continues on unabated is because this is the only place people can go to keep touching family and friends. And I hear stories every single day about people who, kept in touch with friends from long ago, or, got pictures of the grandkids. I hear it all the time. And where are you going to go? There's nowhere else to go. Similarly, there really isn't any replacement for Instagram. So people just go, well, business as usual. I hear people say, well, I never put anything really personal on Facebook. Yeah, I think that's not going to really protect you, because Facebook keeps track of where you go on the net. You ever go to pages that have Facebook like buttons? Yeah, well, Facebook knows you're there. They keep track of where you go, what you do, what you buy. They gather all that as much as they possibly can. And it's very clear they don't really care about protecting it, period. I mean, that's really the bottom line. But there's no good replacement. So what are you going to do? Yeah. Although I just saw a study that said people who leave Facebook 6 months later are much happier. Their whole lives seem to improve and change. So, maybe it would be worthwhile. Maybe it'd be a good idea. We're in takedown mania this last couple of weeks. I don't know if you've noticed this. Partly, I think it comes from Europe and European rules that are getting more and more strict about material online, whether it's copyright material or terrorist material or something bad. The French authorities sent a takedown notice to an American company called the Internet Archive. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They're really an important part of our ecosystem. They keep track of all the internet stuff that's going away. That the internet stuff that people are, old pages, old stuff. It's fantastic. And they have many huge archives. Somehow, 500 of those archives got identified by French authorities as containing terrorist material, including Grateful Dead shows. I mean, it's nonsense. It's not. But the law is, this French law that the Internet Archive is somehow bound by, if you don't take it down, if within 24 hours of our notice, we'll block it in France and we'll start fining you. It's it's like a snowball from nowhere hitting you in the back of the head, and you got no recourse. That's the Wayback Machine. Sometimes people know it better from the name the Wayback Machine. It's the Internet Archive. It's fantastic. I've noticed YouTube has taken down a lot of my stuff just kind of randomly, copyright strikes. And then, you can always appeal it, but there's this period of time where you're gone, whether it's real or not. And then on Twitter, Stars, the TV channel, they took down a news article about how Stars shows had been pirated. It didn't include links to the pirated shows or even, information about where to see those shows. It was a news article that this had happened. Stars got Twitter to take it down. And then when others reported on this, they got them to take those tweets down. And then Stars apologized and said, here's what happened. And this is worthy of a 6-year-old. So we had a security breach, and we hired a third party to enforce copyright, and they just were a little overzealous. Quote, the techniques and technologies employed in these efforts are not always perfect. Well, that's the problem with all of this stuff. They're not perfect. It appears in this case some posts are inadvertently caught up in the sweep. That wasn't our intention. Yeah, right. This is the new Silicon Valley thing. Move fast and break things used to be the motto at Facebook till they realized it didn't sound so good in light of how they operate. But it's still the motto, which is do what you want, apologize later. Never ask for permission, only ask for forgiveness. Enough, I say, enough! 8888 Ask Leo. Those are some of the stories that caught my eye this week. What's on your mind? Let's talk. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Kim Schaffer's ready to answer your call. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Let's take a little pause in the action. And then I'm going to get back to work. We'll talk high tech right after this. She's unbreakable. She's Kim Schaffer, the unbreakable Kimmy Schaffer. No, Kimmy, don't take no Schaffer. Hello, Kim Schaffer. Oh, wait a minute. Got to push your button. Now you can speak. I'm well. How are you? How did it go?
I wasn't here. You weren't here, so.
Oh, that's right. You had 2 weeks off.
I did.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Did you go anywhere? Did you do anything?
I went down to Carmel and Big Sur. Not quite as exciting as Kauai, but
it's beautiful.
I did see probably the most scenic views of California. So.
Yeah. Did you end up going down to Nepenthe and have a hamburger by the Phoenix Fire? Nice.
Yeah, and went to McWay Falls.
Oh, fun.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful down there.
Yeah. It's gorgeous.
We were both on two of the most beautiful coastlines in the world. I was on the Nepali coast in Kauai, which is a stunning coastline. But, of course, yours you could drive to.
Yeah, I didn't have to hop a plane for that.
Yeah, a helicopter. I took a helicopter and a catamaran.
Oh, well, that's cool. Can't complain.
Yeah, it was fun.
That.
Saw whales, the last of the whale season. Saw a mother and her baby.
Aww.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But now I'm back, and we're here to talk tech. Did you buy a folding phone? I'll tell you one thing.
Oh, my God.
I'll tell you one thing I am not going to do on...
Don't buy that.
I was going to buy the Galaxy Fold.
Do
I was going to do it. I didn't get in soon enough because, they had a pre-register, and it sold out immediately. And they said, put yourself on the list. So I'm on the list. And then I noticed that T-Mobile and I think AT&T are going to put them on sale on Thursday. And I thought, oh, great. Well, I'll just go in, and I'll have it for the show next weekend.
Nope.
Maybe not.
No, I read the articles. The testers that had them for 1 or 2 days, and the screens went out. Bro, that's ridiculous.
I am going to make one point, which is one of the reasons that we don't try not to do reviews of pre-release products is that exact thing. You can never be sure if it's a product that you're getting before it comes out, if it's the same product people will be buying, for better or for worse.
Why wouldn't they give you the same product that...
Well, because they're rushing it out to you.
Oh.
So, I know it's more expensive, but I prefer to buy them on them just like a normal person will, and that way I'll have a sense of. Now, if the same thing happens to a phone somebody buys at the phone store on Friday,
they better
then they have
give
a
your
problem.
Money back.
Yeah, you get your money back. What Samsung is saying that two of the reviewers peeled the protective material off the screen, but that doesn't explain the other two, one of whom, Dieter Bohn at The Verge, just something must have gotten in the hinge or something, and he closed it, and the screen bellied up, but then the others, the screen is just broken.
Yeah.
I certainly have decided to save my $1,980 plus tax.
Don't be the guinea pig on this one.
And I think everybody else will wait.
Yeah.
As well.
More bad PR for Samsung.
Oh, but see, that's the real puzzling thing. I mean, if this really were a problem, you would think they would have uncovered it, and they. I don't understand how that happens. And why would you send to reviewers phones you know are going to break?
The reviewers treating it like?
Well, who knows?
Do they do like stress tests on it more than you would as normal use?
I don't think so. But who knows? It's good. This is the other problem I have with YouTube reviews in particular, and these weren't all YouTube reviewers, but some of them were, is there's a lot of pressure on YouTube reviewers to do crazy things because you get hits.
Right.
And so sometimes I'm not sure I think there's a little link baity, we call it, element to the idea to get people to click on that video.
Yeah.
And what better way than to show a broken phone and say, don't let this happen to you. Everybody's going to watch that video. So, but I don't think there's any evidence that Dieter Bohn of The Verge did anything. Yeah, no, I don't. I think Dieter is a very trustworthy source. So I just don't know.
All right.
But I am not going to buy it on Thursday.
No.
I will pause until Samsung has an explanation.
For a while.
Yeah, they claim Samsung says they were mishandled.
Yeah. Well, they're always going to say that.
Yeah. But honestly, if that happens to like more than half of all the people you gave review units to,
yeah,
it's not going to be good when you start selling it. I wouldn't be surprised to see Samsung say, "Yeah, we're not going to make those available."
Yeah,
this
they
week.
shouldn't roll them out.
They shouldn't roll it out.
No.
So you've been answering the phones. Do you have a call for me?
Yeah, sure. Go with line 1. Tony in Pickens, South Carolina.
Start at the top and work my way down.
Yep.
That's kind of my life story. Thank you, Kim.
Right.
Tony. Leo.
Hey,
Laporte.
Leo.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for taking my call. I actually talked to you 3 weeks ago, and I had a follow-up question I meant to ask. So I'm the guy whose daughter's going to Istanbul for the summer, and I was going to get the Moto G7 with Google Fi. And I'm going to use her Google Voice number. I understand that's what you have to use. And my question is, when she gets back from that trip, can I easily transfer that to my Google Voice and it be the same account, or do you know what that would entail?
So, this is something I think that Google did very poorly with the Fi, and it shows a lack of respect for Google Voice, which concerns me because I live on Google Voice and I love Google Voice. When you get a Fi account, you have two choices. You can either use your Google Voice number or lose it. That's your choice. And so you chose the right thing. You use it. What I would recommend if somebody's going to get Fi is to create a new Google Voice number just for Fi. However, now it is encumbered with Fi, and in theory, it's portable.
Well, I haven't bought it yet. I'm getting ready to.
Okay, so my advice is get a new Google Voice number and use that for Fi. Don't mess with your Google Voice number.
Great. Okay. Can I just have a follow-up here?
Sure.
Not on this, but another thing, just a point of frustration. In one of our neighboring counties, they went to lay fiber, actually started the project. They were going to do a county municipal. It's very rural. And AT&T, all the big telcos got that shut down, ran legislation in South Carolina. And before you knew it, Leo, Nikki Haley, who I liked as governor, but she had that signed into law.
Yep.
And this would be 6 years ago. And I'm telling you that the people who were frustrated then are just as frustrated now and just as underserved. And I just feel so stinking helpless. Like, what can we do? Because these telcos are not taking care of rural people. And it seems to me we're at the point where this needs to be viewed as a municipal.
Well, follow the money. Good article in Motherboard this week. 26 states now ban or restrict community broadband. Those are laws written specifically by the telecommunications companies. They don't want the competition, nor do they serve the communities, as you well know, even if they have the monopoly. So follow the money. They're giving money to your state legislators. It's shameful. Yeah, I'm 100% with you. I'm appalled by it. You're not alone. And the FCC's doing nothing, because they're also in the back pocket of the telecom companies. These guys donate a lot of money. Ironically, it doesn't have to be a lot of money. Legislators are cheap. It's even more, to add insult to injury, give them $10,000 for their campaign and they'll vote for anything.
Well, between me and you, I'm on Spectrum, and so to be honest, I'm served well. I have no complaints, and I've been with them for a decade now. But I can take you 3 miles down the road where the best they can do is satellite, and one lady tries to rely on it for her business, and they say things like, "Well, wait for your uploads after midnight."
Yeah.
It's crazy. And
that's a limitation, partly of satellite, and that's. Part of the issue is, when you have a big fat pipe, there's one thing, but when you have a satellite, you have limited carrier bandwidth. And so, that's just, tell her to try Exceed from Wild Blue. That's one of the better, that's the only good satellite one, in my opinion.
Exceed, okay.
Yeah, Wild Blue does that. And that's faster, they have better, the Hughes stuff is terrible. But let me read you this paragraph. Let me read you this paragraph from the Motherboard article. Instead of competing by offering better service, private sector telecom giants like Comcast and AT&T, and I'll add Spectrum to that too, frankly, have routinely turned to a cheaper alternative, easily corrupted state lawmakers. In exchange for campaign contributions, lawmakers frequently and uncritically pass on model legislation written by the industry and distributed by industry associations. And it just happens again and again and again. Yeah, community broadband would be a great solution for rural communities, but they're outlawed in 26 states. I don't know about South Carolina, but I bet you. I'll bet you that's one of the 26.
In Oconee County, they'd already started laying the fiber, and then one of the big telcos said, well, we'll take that up. We're going to take on the project. And it was pathetic. It was just it was a dropped ball. I'm going to try to get our local. I have an in with one of the television stations. I'm going to try to. I'm glad you brought this article.
Go get the article on motherboard.vice.com because it really will give you a lot of information. It's based on a report by Broadband Now. They track broadband availability. Here's another another quote. So what happens is the community, just as you described, the community efforts are taken over by the commercial entities who then just slow walk it. They're not interested because there's no money in it for them.
Wow. Gee.
During the 2017 legislative session, this is the quote, a bill considered by state lawmakers would have enabled municipalities to expand broadband infrastructure to residents. Instead, lawmakers passed a bill that offers $45 million in subsidies to private internet service providers to build the same infrastructure. The problem, throwing taxpayer subsidies at private ISPs doesn't fix the problem. A recent study for the Institute of Local Self-Reliance found that a combination of terrible broadband maps, local and federal corruption, and regulatory apathy often means funds doled out to companies that not only fail to follow through with deployment, but face no meaningful repercussions for not doing so. I mean, in a nutshell, what you just described.
It's our script, yes.
So, this is in Tennessee, and it all is because Chattanooga, the municipal broadband, the municipal power company did an amazing thing with broadband and terrified the telecoms.
Well, they tried to. I mean, telecoms tried to get them to privatize that and get rid of it.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, I appreciate the call.
Thanks,
Take care,
man.
Tony. Bye-bye. Why, it must be. Could it be? I think it is.
That music must mean.
It's Scott Wilkinson, home theater geek, and a contributor at techhive.com. Hello, Scott.
Hello, Leo. Welcome back.
Do they have a tuba Easter?
No. Although Easter and Christmas are the two times of year when brass players really have a lot of work. Yeah.
I know there's a lot of brass music and Christmas music.
Yeah. Also Easter.
Oh, interesting.
Also Easter.
Well, happy Easter to you. Happy Passover. If you
Thank you.
I know you go both ways.
I do go both ways. It's true.
Did you have a Seder last night?
Actually, no. I'm a member of an organization. We hold what's called a model Seder. So that was last week.
Oh. It's
basically for people who have never done a Seder before, might want to do one.
Oh, it's so much fun.
Here's a model of how it's done.
It's one of my favorite feasts.
Oh, it's great. It's really great.
Yeah.
And how interesting that it coincides with Easter this year.
Yeah.
I think I've heard that the calculation for when is Easter was concocted in such a way that they tried to avoid overlapping with Passover.
Oh, really?
Occasionally it doesn't work.
Huh. Well, I'm no Bible scholar, but I thought the Last Supper was sometime around Passover, but maybe I'm
Well, yeah,
mistaken.
it was a
Passover Seder.
Apparently, yeah.
Exactly. Anyway.
Anyway. It is that time of year, and so we do our thing.
So today we gather together. Why is today so special? Because Scott Wilkinson is going to tell us about home theater. And because that's his forte.
That's what I love. There's no question. And listen, today I've actually got a scoop, a sneak peek for you of a review that will be coming out on Tech Hive. I found a little gem, something that's really amazing. Have you ever heard of a company called Revonext?
No.
Revonext. It's a Swedish company. I thought at first it might be Japanese or Korean or Chinese. You know, they try to make weird words sometimes, but no, this is a Swedish company. And they make in-ear monitors.
I like IEMs.
In-ear monitors.
I use the Etymotics as my preferred headset for that reason.
Which are great.
Yeah.
There's no question about it.
A lot of people don't like them because they go in your ear and they make people gag.
Well, and if that's the case, then you should avoid them. But
Yes.
I found it interesting, the difference between in-ear monitors and earbuds. You know, you buy a phone, you're going to get a pair of earbuds.
Oh, and I don't like. They're uncomfortable. They sit on your kind of over in your ear, not over it.
And they cannot be very good sound quality because they let a lot of external sound leak in. They don't couple with your ear canal, which is what they need to do. In-ear monitors do, which is why they need to actually go in a little bit into the ear canal and actually seal off the ear canal.
That's why I like it. That's why I wear the Etymotics. Instead of noise-canceling headphones on an airplane, I wear the Etymotics because it has the same effect. In fact, it's better because it seals your ear so you only hear the music. You don't hear any babies crying.
Correct. Now, the problem in airplanes, and you probably have experienced this, is that when your ear canal is sealed like that, it's more difficult to equalize the pressure.
Yeah.
You know, so
I take them out when we're going up and
you take them out when you're going up and when you're going down. Yeah, exactly. Because then the pressure is changing. But once you're at a stable pressure, you put them in and they seal out the outside environment and sound, ambient noise, and they let you hear the music. And the music sounds much better than it does with earbuds. And these Revonext in-ear monitors that I just reviewed for a Tech Hive, which it'll be published probably next week, they're called the QT5. And I thought they sounded amazing for, get this, $30.
What?
I couldn't believe it. That was just amazing to me. And again, with the proviso that you must find ear tips that seal your ear canals.
Do they come? A lot of devices like this come with a variety of tips.
Yes, and these do too. They come with small, medium, and large.
So you play with it until you find the size that really seals them.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, I first thought that, well, I guess maybe I should use the smallest ones because then they'll jam farther into my ear canal. But that didn't work. And if you don't have the right size, if they're not sealed, then you don't hear any bass. The sound is very tinny and fizzy and just horrible. So you really need to find the best ear tips. I usually find that the largest ones are the ones that work best for me. But even the largest ones that came with these Revonext QT5s weren't large enough for me. I happen to have a pair of JBL IEMs that had an even larger ear tip, which I used on them. So I moved them over to the Revonext QT5s, and oh man, what a difference. I mean, the balance is very smooth from the bass to the treble. The bass is very rich, but not overpowering.
These are a little weird because they're metal.
Yes.
By the way, they are wired.
$30.
They're not wireless. They're wired.
Yeah, and I have to. It's an important point to make. They are wired.
So you need to have a headphone jack or an adapter.
Correct, which the new iPhones don't have, and a few other phones don't have anymore. So yes,
I prefer
these
that
are
because I've never found wireless to work quite as well as wired.
Well, there's that, and then there's the issue of can wireless, Bluetooth in other words, sound as good as a wired headset?
Right.
And many audiophiles say no.
Right.
Because Bluetooth is very compressed.
Are these, because they're metal, are they heavy in the ear?
No, they're like, the total weight is like 1 ounce.
I can't believe the price. I'm going to order some. They're on Amazon. You can get them right now.
Yeah.
Revonext, Revonext QT5s, $30.
Yep.
And they do come with only 3 tips, but I notice on the Amazon listing, there's other companies selling additional tips.
Additional tips. And one company of that ilk is called Comply, and they make what are called memory foam ear tips.
Which I really like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, because memory foam ear tips can be compressed, and then they expand out to fill the space that's in your ear canal. So I haven't tried the Complies yet. But I definitely want to do that. Another company that makes separate tips is called Periodic Audio, which also makes a fantastic in-ear monitor. But they also sell memory foam ear tips.
Now, are these the kind that you can use with your telephone, or no? They're just for listening to music? No microphone.
No, there's no microphone, and there's no switch of any sort or volume or anything.
Oh, okay.
However, here's another thing that's amazing at in-ear monitors at this price. That cable is detachable.
Oh, I see. That's nice.
So you could, in fact, buy a cable that had that phone functionality in it.
Oh, I guess, huh?
As long as you could find one that had the right.
Yeah.
They detach and they're.
It looks like the standard 2-pin attachment.
It's a 2-pin attachment. Yeah,
I have a lot of wired.
Then there you go. It'd be easy to find them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're made of metal, and so they're a little heavier, but they're also sturdy.
Right.
Very sturdy.
And they're ported as a result. There's a base port on the back, which I've never seen on in-ear monitors.
Correct.
That's really interesting.
I've seen it on a couple of them. They're actually dual driver. They have a bass driver and a mid-frequency and high-frequency driver built in. They sound amazing for the money. Highly recommend.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to get them for all the family.
Yeah, very good.
Scott Wilkinson. You can find his work now, including the review of this when it's up at techhive.com. And, of course, he joins us every weekend to talk home theater. He's our home theater geek. Thanks, Scott.
Bet.
Appreciate it. Wow, that is a find. $30. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls coming up right after this. And now it says only 4 left in stock. Somebody else ordered them, too.
I guess
they just put more in. Only 14 left in stock. Amazon's switched their provider probably. Oh, they raised the price. Look at that.
Oh no! What is it now?
Well, it's only $2 more, $31.99. But this is what Amazon does. It's all algorithmic.
Oh,
it's amazing.
Wow!
Yeah, it's amazing.
Well, I'll have to alert the editor of Tech Hive to change the price when he publishes it.
But that's the problem. Is that it'll change. It's a moving
constantly.
target.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? Oh, we can make $2 more. Wow.
Well,
wait a minute. That's for the copper color. The gun color.
The gunmetal color
is $30.99. Is a buck less.
What? What?
I know.
What the what?
What the what? And the gun color with a mic. Wait a minute. They do have one with a mic.
They do have one with a
$31.99.
Right. And
so it's just different cable.
Kupua 808 was saying, no, you can't. You need a mic input. Well, the cable is the thing that has the mic in it.
So I ordered the wrong one. I'm going to get it with the cable. Yeah.
Right. Well, it comes with a cable, but I guess the stock cable doesn't have a microphone. Also, the plug is different. It has 4 conductors on it instead of 3. But headphone jacks on phones are certainly capable of accepting that and dealing with the mic that's in the cable itself.
So get it with gun color and a mic.
And a mic cable.
Gun color. Obviously, this is not an American company.
Yeah. No, it's Swedish, as I said. I had the copper color, which I kind of like.
Yeah. This is awesome.
The other thing that's cool is that the right and left ones are clearly marked.
That's important.
It is, and it's not always easily discernible. So I find that very interesting too. These things are for $30. It's like, what?
Why not?
I can't believe how good they are.
I too, which I just did by accident.
I just did, so I'm now wearing these at the gym.
That price. Wow.
At that price, gee whiz.
All right. I will give you a couple minutes here on your own.
Thank you.
And then the top of the hour, you're going to stick around?
Yeah, you bet.
All right.
Rocket88 says there's a $3 coupon button. I don't know about that. Maybe. Sounds good if there is. Beatmaster says the mics in the cable can be an issue. That very well could be that, which is why you often see if people are wearing earphones, wired earphones, earplug, in-ear monitors, that they hold that little gizmo in the cable up to their mouth. I assume that's why they do that. Let's see. Hawaii Cop asks, how is the CL65 S515 65-inch 4K Ultra HD Roku Smart TV LED TV 2018 model? That's the TCL. You didn't mention the company, but the S517 is a TCL. The 5 Series is fine, I'm sure. It's certainly inexpensive, but it uses what's called LED edge lighting. So the backlight is along the edge of the screen rather than behind the screen. The TCL 6 series uses full array local dimming backlighting, which I much prefer. So if you can spring a little extra for this, I think it's the R617. I'm sure it comes in a 65-inch and other sizes as well. But if you can spring for that, spend a little extra on the 617, the R617, I think it's better because of that edge lighting. But otherwise, they're very similar TVs, and TCL is doing a bang-up job making products that are inexpensive, TVs that are inexpensive but really good.
Thanks, Scott. We'll talk at the top.
You bet.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Let's go on to the calls. Mark in Tustin, California is next. Hi, Mark.
Hey, actually, since Scott was on, I had a secondary question. Channel 2 disappeared because I get over the air, and I have rescanned, and it doesn't come back. And I've got one of those hopogs in a computer, and it just, the other channels that I used to get are still there, but just Channel 2 disappeared.
Yeah, I think the channel frequencies moved again. This is something that happened recently, but normally rescanning would find it. TV stations are moving to new frequencies between now and 2020, so people with over-the-air antennas may find that TV channels disappear from, as it did for you, from your lineup. The theory is you should just rescan, should just bring them back. The FCC says no new devices, equipment, or services are needed in theory, but I guess that's different for practice. That's interesting. I don't know why you would lose it forever. You might call Channel 2 and say, "Hey, what'd you guys do?"
Okay. Yeah, I looked up the channel.
Yeah.
And it's 143, and it said that that's it. And but I don't know how to change the frequency to the frequency that it says.
Well, that's what rescanning is supposed to do. Now that hopog may be kind of limited. I don't. It may be an issue with the hopog itself. So if you, I'm looking at an article in Consumer Reports from January. The transition started April 2017, won't be completed until July 2020. You rescan, and that the frequencies will have changed, but that's the theory, is that scanning still goes through all of the available frequencies to figure out where Channel 2 is.
Right. Okay. Yeah, it took forever, but okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me get to the main question, then I'll find out.
And then I'm also going to refer you to tvanswers.org. That's the National Association of Broadcasters site on all of this, and they have some more information about. Actually, what's your zip code? Let me enter your zip code here.
92705.
705.
tvanswers.org.
tvanswers.org, and rescan. It has all the days to rescan. Channel 2. Oh yeah, April 12th, 2019. KCBS Los Angeles changed on April 12th. That's the day you lost it. But in theory,
it's one of the few.
It's
one of the few channels that worked.
Yeah.
Where I live.
Yeah. Well, and I don't. It shouldn't change anything. Also, Telemundo 52 changed on that day, as did 22, 44, 12. I mean, yeah. But in theory, it's not supposed to eliminate try scanning it, rescanning again, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. In theory, and everything I'm reading here on the FCC site, the Consumer Reports site, and TVAnswers.org, which is the National Association of Broadcasters site, says that you shouldn't need to change anything. You should just be able to rescan. And maybe that's a HPOG issue because you're using a digital, tuner, a computer tuner. Anyway, main question. Go ahead.
DVR program. Yeah, main question. So I've got a Google Nexus 6P, which I'm starting to wonder, since they don't update anymore, if I should just stop cheaping out and get a new phone.
That's too bad, because that was a great phone. It's only 2 years old, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
2.5. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Right. And, I changed the batteries, so it's got a fresh battery.
Yeah.
One for $100 for my son, changed out the battery. And but mine is slowing down. I checked in developer area, I forget what it's called, and I've like 8 gigs left in the hard drive space. I have plenty of space in the memory, and it literally goes so slow. Sometimes when I hear your podcast, you go and then it starts working again.
Oh, it can't keep up. Then memory should be able to keep up, for crying out loud. That's ridiculous.
Right. But I've got free memory, so the only thing is, if you hit iStat menu on the Mac or you do Task Manager, you can see what's overloading, whether it's processor, memory, hard drive. But I don't know if there's something like that for Android.
Yeah, I mean, what probably is happening is that the eMMC memory that they used in there, which is not the fastest SSD, fastest flash memory, and over time gets slower. So have you tried wiping and restarting the phone? Because that might help it. Do a complete reset.
Yeah, I'm thinking of wiping it and then seeing if I can hook it up. Padre said, you can hook up some of these phones in such a way and then spin write them.
Well, that might be. Spin write's not actually what you want on this particular phone. Believe it or not, and this always blows me away. For years, we would defrag our disks. Microsoft still offers a disk optimization and defragging tool, but if it sees an SSD, it doesn't defragment it because there's no such thing as fragmentation on an SSD. They're random access. It doesn't matter where the data is on the SSD. But what it will do is run trim on the SSD, and that's the routine you want to do to recover the full speed of the SSD after use. So if you can hook it up as a drive to a Windows machine, you might try defragging it, believe it or not.
Ooh.
Yeah, that would be
Brilliant.
spin right is not what you need. What you need is trim. And see if that fixes it. Yeah. If it doesn't, I'm pretty sure a factory reset would have the same effect, but I may be wrong on that. So try that. See if you can turn it into a mounted drive on your Windows machine, which I think you can, and then defrag it.
Okay. Hey, and as always, I call every once in a while through the years, and it's just a joy to listen to you.
Oh.
And, yeah, it really, the only thing I'd ask is, on your specials, if you could have one feed with snark and one feed without snark.
Well, we always assume, I know, the snark gets old. Lately, we've been trying to tune the snark down.
Well, pause what you're playing and do the snark. And then
I see,
again.
because you're missing what they're saying. Yeah, that's the challenge. What we do, for people who don't know, on our podcast network, and by the way, Apple has started to really hate that we do this, is we'll take this live streams of these press events. They are press events, and we'll stream them, and then we'll comment on them as they're going. But you're right, we can't. There's never a pause. We always try to do it during when they run the commercial films in there. But you're right. Sometimes it does step over what they're doing. That's an interesting idea. We'll try it next time. We'll do it. In fact, we've got a couple coming up. We'll pause and then continue on. That's a great idea.
Awesome. And your quality is excellent, because I listen 3 times speed, and you guys absolutely have the best quality of the 90 podcasts I keep up with.
So we sound good 3 times. I've heard of 1.5, maybe 2, 3 times. So but I don't sound like a chipmunk, right? Because those podcast speeder-uppers don't do that.
No. I use Pocket Cast.
Yeah, they keep the frequency.
$40 headset.
Yeah.
From MPAL.
And you can understand it.
Yeah.
You must have
most people look at me like I'm nuts, but, hey, you called me an Android years ago, so I guess...
Maybe you are. It's funny. Sometimes people will come in studio, people like you who listen at high speed, and they say, everybody sounds so drunk because we're talking at a normal speed.
No, the only thing it does, it makes even. You know what it does? God, who is the one guy who you have on
Steve
on
Gibson.
And he's very monotone.
Oh.
Very monotone. And he sounds really super monotone at 3 times speed.
He is an android, probably.
Yeah. All right.
No names. All right. Hey.
No. But tell Steve Gibson, spin right.
Yes, I am.
Please stop saying he's almost done.
Just finish it.
I'm the one that told him that, GPT partitions weren't working on SpinRite. I'm the first one to report it.
I know.
And it's like Jane Fonda in a workout video. Almost done.
I don't want to give you the bad news. It's not almost done. Squirrel is almost done. Then he'll begin SpinRite 6. Our show today. We love Steve, though. He listens. Hi, Steve. You're so... You crack me up, Mark. Tell him to finish it. All right. Scott Wilkinson.
Woo!
You have so much time. Go for it.
I have so much time. Thanks,
go drink
Leo.
pounds of coffee. I'm going to pound some coffee.
Go pound some coffee, man.
All right.
Somebody in the chat room was asking about the, we were talking earlier, in fact, about the TCL 5 series. And Mike Heiss, my good buddy, has a 5 series, actually, that he likes quite a bit. And he adds the Roku speakers. Now, these are very interesting. They are outboard speakers, little pair of speakers that go with Roku TVs, and only Roku TVs. Mike, if I'm not mistaken about that, I think that's correct. But when you add them to a Roku TV, such as the TCL 5 series, you will find much better sound, I'm sure. Mike, inform me if I'm wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure. I mean, just about anything is going to be a better sound quality than the internal speakers of almost any TV. The only one that I would put a caveat on for that is the Sony OLEDs, which basically the entire front screen is the speaker. And it actually sounds amazingly good. They also come with a quote-unquote subwoofer, which is, not really a subwoofer, but it does take care of the low frequencies because the screen itself can't reproduce low frequencies without it being visible. You might think, well, wait a second, if the screen itself is vibrating, wouldn't you see that? And the answer is, in the high and mid frequencies, no, you don't see it. But in the low frequencies, you would. You would see it, vibrating. So they hand off the low frequencies to a different regular, quote unquote, regular speaker and do the low frequencies there. But otherwise, almost any other TV, the speakers in the TV are So get just about anything else. Let's see here. Poker Cat asked, what is the best cheap brand? Or are they all pretty much the same? Cheap brand of what? Answer me that, and I will be glad to talk about it. Mike Heiss says, yes, that is correct. I'm doing a review of the speakers, and they had to lend me a TV to use them. Exactly, see? They work only with Roku TVs. But, Mike, I'm pretty sure they're wireless, so you'd have to plug them in. This is the thing. Okay, don't get me started. But when people talk about wireless speakers, that only means that they don't have a signal wire. They still have a power wire. You need to plug them in somewhere because they have electronics. I suppose they could be battery powered, but you'd need to plug them in to recharge them, or you'd need to replace the batteries or something like that. In most cases, a wireless speaker has to be plugged in. So it's not really wireless. And this has been a problem for a long time. And I haven't really kept up on, somebody in the chat room, I'm sure will keep more up on this than I have, but wireless power, because even when you mount a TV on the wall, even if you beam everything to it by Wi-Fi, it's still got a power cable. And you either have to run that through the wall if you want it to be perfectly invisible, or you have to run it down the wall to an outlet. So when are we going to have wireless power that isn't just, within a millimeter? We have wireless charging now where you can put a phone on a little gizmo and it'll charge and it's not connected by any wires. But you can't do that at any distance, at least not that I know of. So, might be solar powered. Yeah, that would work, except inside the house. Lumpy says Element and ProScan TVs are the worst sounding. Well, that may be. I haven't heard an Element before. And what was it? I lost it here. ProScan, that's what it was, which used to be the high-end brand of RCA. And I don't know if it still is related to RCA or Thomson or not. But, I'm sure they're not good. Samsungs aren't good. Vizios aren't good. The internal sound. I'm not talking about the picture now. Picture is getting really good. Speaking of which, I'm going to be moderating the flat panel shootout this year in New York in mid-June. So that's going to be exciting. And we are anticipating some mighty fine-looking TVs. Might be light-powered then. Yeah, sure. But you're not going to get much power from indoor lighting. It's just not going to happen. Sorry. Oh, cheap TV, Poker Cat. Yes, the cheap TV brands that I think are the best are TCL and Vizio. Vizio's a little more expensive than TCL. Hisense, I have never actually. Well, I did review the laser TV, which is an ultra short throw projector, really. But their flat panel TVs, I've never reviewed one. I've heard pretty good things about it, and they are certainly inexpensive. But TCL has a much greater market share and presence in the U.S., so that would be the one I would look at. And Knox Harrington says, I do like my TCL TV. See, exactly. Out of Sync says, wireless power at like 3 to 6 feet is actually a thing. Oh, well, that's good. I didn't realize that. 3 to 6 feet, that's not too bad. 3 feet, say if you had a TV on a wall, where would the power beamer need to be? Within 3 to 6 feet. Okay, could it be hidden? At 6 feet, I'd say probably so. At 3 feet, less likely, but maybe. Who knows? Mike Heiss, oh yes, will they have 8K sets at the shootout? Yes, we will. However, they won't be in the shootout. We decided it's not really fair to compare 4K and 8K TVs in the same shootout. There will be 8K TVs there, and they will be on display and showing content, but they're not going to be in competition this year. We'll see what happens next year. Razarius, are you going to see Endgame? Yes, indeedy. I've got my ticket next Friday. Looking forward to it. That's going to be awesome. In fact, I plan to talk about it on next week's show because I will see it on Friday. Web 4141, Sony's XBR75 X850 crackling noise randomly. Any idea what does this? No, can't say as I do. Sounds like a defect to me. 850F means it's this year's model, means you might still be able to, it's probably still under warranty. Knox Harrington, the thing about TCL is that you better like Roku. Yeah, many of their TVs are Roku TVs, and I do like Roku. So there you go. And you only need to like Roku if you want to use its smart TV features. If you already have another streamer, an outboard streamer, a Roku, for example, that would be superfluous. But if you liked Apple TV, say, or Fire TV or something like that, you wouldn't need to use the Roku interface at all.
Thank you, Scotty.
My pleasure. See you next week.
Have a wonderful week.
Thanks.
Have a happy Pesach.
And you.
All right. Take care. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography. We got smartphones. We got smartwatches. We got folding phones. We got folding phones that don't work so well. 8888, ask Leo the phone number, 888 827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. You're welcome to call, and we can talk about anything going on with technology in your life. That's what I'm here for. 888-827-5536. Website, techguylabs.com. And I put everything we talk about on the show up there. So you can always, if you hear something, find a link or get more information. You can even listen to the show or watch the show. We put video and audio of the show after the fact up there of all of our previous 1,583 shows. techguylabs.com. That's a lot of shows since 2004. Samsung, we were talking before at the last hour about Samsung and these folding phones, the Samsung Fold, which comes out next week. And I kind of wanted to and I didn't want to because it's $2,000, but I thought, well, I really need to review it. This is the first of the mainstream folding phones. We're expecting to see more. And early reports, because Samsung seeded some reviewers with these phones last week, early reports were, oh my gosh, I get it now. This is amazing. This is great. This is how you want a phone to be. And then, then the phone hit the fan. The bad news. Numerous reviewers, most famously Marques Brownlee and Dieter Bohn on The Verge, but others as well, reported that their Samsung Galaxy Fold screen had failed, had broken within 2 days for different reasons. So Marques Brownlee and another YouTuber did something that Samsung, after the fact, said, oh, you're not supposed to do that. There's a protective film on the phone, and people who have other Samsung phones might recognize this. I had a protective film on my Galaxy S10 Plus, which I immediately removed because I don't like screen protectors. So did Marques Brownlee. MKBHD. Samsung, no, you shouldn't do that, and the phone broke immediately. No, you weren't supposed to do that. Dieter Bohn of The Verge did not do that. He just, something happened and the screen got a bump in it. It's a mess. Numerous other people reported the same thing. So I'm thinking I'm not going to run to the store this week on Friday and buy one, not for $2,000. It's kind of sad. What's really, unfortunately, true is that this Samsung S10 Plus is the best phone I've ever used. I mean, at a great price, not $2,000, but still an expensive phone. But it really is good. Samsung has solved a lot of the problems that plagued earlier Galaxy phones, like chiefly Samsung's kind of funky interface. It has a camera that's virtually second to none. If any, the only camera that beats it possibly is the night sight camera on the Pixel 3 XL, Pixel 3 phone. But on the 10 Plus, the 3 lenses are fantastic. The images, I took it to Hawaii on my vacation along with a very expensive Sony camera. And I would say the images I got on the Galaxy S10 Plus were as good, if not better, than the pictures I got on that $5,000 Sony camera on the A9. Wow. And it's in your pocket. I like this phone in every respect, and so I was very hopeful that the Fold might be equally groundbreaking. Not good news for Samsung, and I have to think that because the word has gone out. Well, let me put it this way: in The Verge, Dieter Bohn's review says, "Samsung Galaxy Fold review, broken dream." Yeah, that kind of says it. The dream is broken. And it's unclear whether this... Now, remember, one of the things, and I have to point this out, these guys are all using pre-production versions. They're not using the production versions. Or are they? Maybe they are, but they're not, this is not the phone necessarily you'll be buying on Friday. So it's possible that Samsung, has fixed this problem and they'll be fine. But boy, you sure don't You sure don't want to have the first 10 reviews be my phone broke in 2 days. Dieter says, I reached out to Samsung right away to get a statement. It took 24 hours for the company to put one together. The gist is that Samsung is looking into our unit, but also warning users not to try to peel off the protective layer on the top of the screen. He's also received a replacement review unit from Samsung. But Steve Kovac also had a broken phone. Mark Gurman of Bloomberg also had a broken phone. He did also remove the protective layer. Marcus Brownlee removed the protective layer. He had a broken phone. But now they've all got replacements, and we're not hearing of the replacements breaking. So this is often, one of the reasons I don't like to review units until they're for sale. I want to review the same one that you're going to buy, right? Apparently, the retail units will have a big warning. Attention, the main screen includes a special protective layer. Peeling off the protected layer or using any adhesives on the main screen, such as screen protectors or stickers, may cause damage. No, they didn't tell the reviewers that. But I have to look at the phone that Dieter Bohn had, and there's definitely a crease, a nasty crease and a bump that appeared the morning after he got the phone. So, and, to be fair, everybody was a little concerned about what would be the longevity of a screen that bends again and again and again, and I'm not surprised that there are issues. So, I guess we'll wait. I'll save my $2,000. Thank you. You saved me $2,000. I'll save my money until we hear that the phones are now reliable. I am very excited about the idea. And as I said, I am kind of a fan of these Sammys. They're doing the best phones out there right now. Better screen than anybody else, better battery life than anybody else, better cameras than almost anybody else. And the software, if you're going Android, it is definitely the best software. And of late, I have to say, I'm so disappointed that Apple has not updated iOS and its interface in so long. It's really feeling creaky. And Android, on the other hand, is so customizable. That's actually the knock. And if people call and ask, I often kind of try to get a sense of, how they feel about a phone. If you just want a phone that you use and you don't want to configure it, you just want to use it out of the box, you don't want to mess with it, then an iPhone's a great choice because you can't really customize it that much. There's not much you can do. If you like to tweak things, then an Android phone is a great choice, and the Samsungs are the king of the hill here. I think almost everybody who has experienced this now, and certainly many reviewers, after it takes a week or two to get the S10 exactly what you want. But once you do, it's like your phone. You've made it yours. You made it exactly what you want. And I have to say, I've never been happier with the customizations and the configuration available on the S10. It's just, they've really done a nice job. And that's partly due to Google and Android 9, and partly due to Samsung finally stepping out of the way of Android 9. And I have to give credit to third-party developers who've created launchers that are fantastic. I use something called Action Launcher, which is something you can't do on an iPhone. You have to use Apple's launcher. No choice. Springboard, they call it. And it's really creaky. It's showing its age. It's very inflexible. But the Android launchers are great. So I was excited. I thought, man, if this Fold is as good as the 10 Plus, but gives you all that extra screen real estate, this thing's going to be a hit. Maybe not. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Let's get the lines going, and I will take your calls right after this. Oh, that's not what I want. It's not tinkering, it's Synapse. I'm just saying I can customize it to make it exactly as I wish, and I can't do anything along those lines. You could change the wallpaper on an iPhone. You can't even have, the thing that continually drives me nuts on an iPhone is you can't even have an icon in more than one place. That's just crazy. So this is the lock screen, but this is completely customizable. Notice I have a video on my lock screen. I don't have any controls at the bottom. I decided not to have those. I love widgets, which it's rumored Apple will start doing widgets at some point, but the ability to put large widgets on the screen, things like this clock and the weather, so I have my weather right there. That's not, to me, this is not tinkering. All the apps are right here. The audio stuff that I use, all the playback stuff I use is right there. If I want to get to, I have the Samsung, it's right here. The Samsung Shutter, they call it the Edge screen. So these are the apps that I need that kind of hide away, but I want immediate access to. Those are always there. Plus contacts, and that's the pasteboard from, things like that. This is recent. This is my clipboard. To have that available at all times is fantastic, right? No matter what I'm doing. I mean, I can go on and on and on and on and on. This is the dark mode on this, notifications, everything. It's just great. And so it's not so much tinkering with the phone and changing the icons. You can do that. I don't like to do a lot of that. It's making the phone fit your exact use case. And if you don't want to ever do that, iPhone is a good choice as long as its use case fits your use case. And if you don't want any clutter, you just get rid of that. Go on. You can have it as clean as you want. You notice I don't have icons anywhere but here, and the reason is these are actually folders. So if I go into, if I hit this, it'll be Google Maps. But if I slide it down, it's actually all my nav stuff in one place. It's little things like that. That's something I want. That's actually a great way to reduce clutter. 8888, ask Leo. Can you imagine what they're doing right now at Samsung headquarters, how they're running around like crazy? But how could they not know that the phone would break? Were they handling it with, white cloth gloves at all times? Didn't they know real people would be using these phones? How could that get out of the lab? Paul in San Diego. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Paul.
Hi.
How are you? Welcome.
Thank you so much. I am a user of LastPass, as I know you are, for many, many years.
Oh yes, they're a sponsor, I should mention.
Oh yeah.
But to be fair, I've been using them long before they became sponsors.
Yes, me too. Many years.
Yep.
And they just changed it, the entire GUI.
Yeah.
What do you think of it?
I got an email from somebody, maybe it was you, saying that, and then I went and I looked at the LastPass forums where people were complaining. And then I looked at my LastPass. Maybe I don't have the new GUI because I don't see any massive changes. There's different menu items a little bit and stuff, but I must not have it.
Yeah, because now, before when you would do a fill, you were at a forum and you do a fill.
So just to fill people in, LastPass is a password manager. It keeps track of all your passwords. When you get to a website where you have to log in, it will fill it in for you. So go ahead. And what's happening now with the fill?
It used to be it would fill one click and the entire fill would be there. If there was a credit card you have to fill in, it would ask, do you really want to do that?
Yeah.
And you click yes, and everything would be fill in.
Yeah.
Now you have to go to different menus to click each different portion of the form.
One thing, now I don't know, because either I'm not seeing this or something, because nothing's changed for me, so it must be that I haven't got it yet. But one thing to keep in mind is that the browsers continually change their abilities and requirements. And if you're using LastPass as a plugin, by the way, you can use it as a standalone app on both Mac and Windows. And it actually is always a standalone app on iOS and Android. But if you're using the Chrome browser plugin or the Firefox or the Safari or the Edge browser plugin, it's going to be limited by what the browser lets it do. And as time's gone by, browsers have, in order to improve their security, this is really important, have really restricted what these add-ons can do. they've made it harder and harder to do exactly what you just described, which is watch the page, look for a form to fill in, then fill it in. That's become, I think, probably fairly challenging. I will ask the folks at LastPass, because I obviously have a very good relationship with them. I really like them. I've known them for years. And as I said, they are a sponsor. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, because it may be that it's just that Chrome and Firefox particularly have changed their security significantly, and it may be that plugins just can't work the same way they used to. So I don't want to blame them out of the box. I have noted, I have gone to the LastPass forums and noticed pages of complaints over this new user interface. I'm at a disadvantage because either I don't, one thing that is the case, you change anything, people get upset. So any change is, and I know this, when we created a new website, we heard about it from a lot of people. Now everybody's gotten used to our website and they like it. But at first, people just don't like change and they'll complain and complain. So it's possible that some of this complaint is just, it's different. You're right. If you have to click multiple times to get a form to fill in or a credit card to fill in or a login to fill in, that's not good. I haven't seen it. And I just checked again. And I have, as you might imagine, more than a dozen different computers running Mac, Linux, and Windows, and I haven't seen a change on any of them. Maybe they're doing it per account so that it'll all change at once, and if that's the case, they've got a real problem if people are complaining. Let me ask the chat room, have you seen the new LastPass interface? Yeah. Somebody in the chat room saying, I got an email saying it's coming. They're rolling it out. And that's often the case with this stuff, is they send it out a bit at a time. All I can say is I feel your pain, Paul. And I just don't share your experience because it hasn't happened to me yet. And believe me, if they do screw it up, I'm going to call them and say, look, this is what you need to fix. And I think they're getting that feedback, at least from what I've read in the forums. So you're saying when you go to a page, what browser do you use?
Chrome.
And have you tried it in other browsers just to see if it's doing the same thing?
Well, I assume it does, though I have not.
Well, I wouldn't because remember, Google's very aggressive about locking Chrome down, and that may be some of this. I don't know because I don't know exactly. It certainly shouldn't take you 5 clicks to fill in a credit card form.
Well, just to get to if you're not on the page itself and you want to go to it, in other words, you want to use LastPass to open the page and then fill in the form and fill in the login credentials.
Yeah.
Before you would click once,
and it would do the whole thing. Yeah.
That was it. Now you have to click several times. It's no longer called sites. They changed the names of everything, and you have to click twice to get there.
Yeah, that I'm almost certain that is because browsers will not let that kind of automation happen. Because as you might imagine, malware, that's exactly the kind of thing a malware extension would do, is send you to a site and log you in and open it up and maybe copy your banking information. I could see why that would be something that, and again, I don't think, because LastPass did it for a long time, they're not against it, but it could very well be the browser is and prohibiting that. So let me call them and ask. That's all I can say. I'll call them and ask. I use it, and I continue to use it without any problem. Now, the other thing that is true is that different people have different use cases. So I don't ever do what you just described. I don't go to a web page from LastPass. I go to a web page and then let LastPass fill in the passwords. I go to the web page from my own bookmarks in the browser. So it may be that you're more disadvantaged than I am. But let me call and ask them. And this happens. Sometimes companies make mistakes. They think they're improving things, and people go, I want my old names. I like the old names. Don't change the names. And this is an opportunity for them to fix it. Remember what happened to Snapchat? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I think most likely it's just that Chrome wouldn't let him do it anymore. That's exactly the kind of thing that Chrome and Firefox, are starting to prevent. It's that kind of, Firefox turned off a lot of plugins. They turned off NPAPI capability. That impacted a ton of people. That's what happens when you're a browser extension. But again, I can't. I'm kind of talking out of my butt because I don't see the changes, so I don't know exactly what they've done. I will ask them. It's what's really interesting about computers is they're really so personal. I mean, what I was just describing on the phone is a good example. There's just things that I want that others wouldn't, and computers are so personal, and so you make changes at your peril. Johnny Jet!
Leo Laporte, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
How was your trip?
It was really great. Kauai's beautiful. We had a
and how was that
wonderful
hotel?
time. Pardon me? No, I wouldn't
hotel?
go there. That was
Really?
a mistake. Yeah.
Crazy expensive?
Well, both crazy expensive and not very good, yeah. So it was a bad combination. Well, the
that's not a
Hyatt
good
Regency down the road isn't spectacular.
That's where I stayed when I went.
Everybody I say, oh, we stayed at this place. I didn't like it that much. We should have stayed at the Hyatt Regency. Said, yeah, that's where I stayed. Yeah, that's where we honeymooned. Why didn't they tell us beforehand?
Well, I definitely told you.
There was no beach access. You had to walk to the beach 10 minutes away at the Sheraton. There was one lousy restaurant. And it was, if I told you how much it was, you would choke. So it was a bad choice. It was just a mistake. So live and learn. But it wasn't that bad. I wasn't miserable. It's just that we went to eat. We went down to Tide Pools at the Hyatt Regency. Went, oh, wow.
The Grand Hyatt, right?
The Grand Hyatt. This is nice.
Okay. Yeah, the
really
pool's
nice.
great, especially for kids.
They got 1 million pools. They got saltwater pools. They got freshwater pools.
Yeah.
They got like 8 restaurants. Anyway, we did fine. We had a wonderful time. It was great. I like Hawaii.
Flight. How was the Hawaiian? Did you?
Hawaiian was great, and we did upgrade thanks to you.
And how was that?
It was very nice. The food was surprisingly good.
The food's really good on Hawaiian.
I was blown away how good the food
them
was.
and JetBlue have great food.
Yeah. It was perfect. They give you an iPad mini to watch movies on, which was funny because we had our own movies and our own iPads, so we didn't really need that. But yeah, it was really fun. I had a great time.
But they didn't fully recline the seats, right?
No, it's just, the old-fashioned. Yeah, but it's a 5-hour flight. It was very bumpy going out. It was bumpy half the way going out.
Was it? Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah, it wasn't great, but that's all right. We survived. And it was smooth coming back, and I didn't want to come back. I wanted to stay in Hawaii. I love Hawaii.
Yeah, I mean, you were gone for a while. In that 2 weeks that you were gone, I've been to Florida 3 times. I've been to Spain. I'm in Toronto now. And I was in Dallas.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. I was only gone 8 days, but still you managed to jam a lot in there. That's awesome.
Well, I was in Spain for 2 days. Florida
2 days.
one night.
Where in Spain were you?
Seville.
Oh, I love Seville. Sevilla. The cathedral in Seville was one of my favorites. Just gorgeous.
I just drove by it. I didn't get to go in because I was at a conference.
2 days. You had no time.
Yeah, that's a problem with that stuff. But, nice little flavor just for 2 days.
Sigh. Hold on. He's been everywhere, man. He's our travel guru. You want a guy who travels a lot if he's a travel guru. Johnny Jet, johnnyjet.com. Hello, Johnny. Good to see you.
Hello, Leo.
Or should I say aloha? You're not in Hawaii right now. How do they say hello in Toronto?
They say hello. They say cheerio. No, they just say hello.
They do say cheers a lot, I've noticed. Cheers. Yeah.
So, I'm sorry.
You're sorry? They say I'm sorry for anything. I'm sorry. It's not your fault. It's okay.
There's a joke. How do you get Canadians to apologize?
Step on their toes.
You got it.
Oh, Johnny gets around. He's been everywhere. Tell me all the places since I've been here you've been.
right after I got off the phone with you last time we did our talk, I flew to Dallas to speak.
Yep.
Then I flew to Florida for one night to see my dad. Then I flew to Spain for 2 nights to go to a conference that Obama was speaking at. Then I flew back to LA for a few nights, then flew back to Florida for another conference to speak at, then flew back to LA for a couple days to get my family, then flew back with them to Miami to see my dad.
Oh my God.
And now we're in Toronto for Easter.
Crazy, man.
The good news is I racked up the miles, and I'm on my way to elite status for next year too.
Man, that's amazing. Well, it's good. It wouldn't be any good to have a travel guru who doesn't spend a lot of time in the air. Yeah,
I spend too much.
So what do you got for us this week?
So you know what? Unfortunately, what I had planned was to a website, actually an app on iOS, Android, and Windows called Duck the Line. And the main centerpiece, it's a French app, is to cut the line in Notre Dame. But unfortunately,
oh my God, this was literally going to be your pick?
Yeah, well, actually, my buddy Mark Davis, who I went to high school with, I saw on Facebook a couple weeks ago that he goes, I just found the best app. I just cut the whole line at Notre Dame. I go, will you write about it? He goes, sure. So he wrote about it, told me about it, and then a week later, on the flight to Miami, I saw that it's burning down. So, but
did that not break your heart to see that? Oh man!
I told Natalie when we were on the plane, and literally, she just started bawling. It was
me too.
It holds a special place to everybody. Yeah. I mean, even if you're not religious, it's just when you think of Europe, you think of Notre Dame. And my first trip to Europe was to France, and obviously I went there But this app supposedly gets into a couple other attractions, although I cannot find them on their website. But on in Android, in the Google Store, it's highly rated. On the iOS Store, it's not.
Oh, isn't that funny? Huh.
My buddy just said it uses Bluetooth. Your location has to be on, and it will tell you when to go. You go to a side door, and it doesn't cost anything, and you cut the line.
Well, how does that? I don't. Okay.
So he was telling me just now that he thinks it's the same model as like OpenTable. I guess OpenTable gets a commission.
Right.
I'm not even sure how that works.
Right.
But anyway, so if you do go to Paris, consider this for other attractions, obviously, and then hopefully when Notre Dame reopens, which who knows when that will be.
But that's the good news, is they're really working to get it.
They will, and actually, so I had a backup. So actually, when we came up the next day with a tip of the week, which was to donate, but I don't think you need to donate now because already over $1 billion.
First thing I told Lisa is we're gonna donate whatever as soon as they set up that fund. But several French magnates immediately threw in money. I think they've got $1 billion already.
They've already over $1 billion. So the website is Notre Dame. Paris.fr, which is for France.
Of course, it's because it's France. Now the debate is, well, why don't you just give that money to poor people and leave the cathedral the way it is? And it's like, yeah.
Well, there's so many places, I think now that are better to donate now that they got $1 billion. I mean, there's all these black churches in America that have been burned.
3 black churches in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, they could use the money. Yeah. So, I was reluctant to even mention this, but since it is a travel icon, I thought I would.
I have, the first thing I did is I went back through old pictures, many visits to Notre Dame. Anytime we go to Paris, Notre Dame is one of the very first places we go. We usually stay very nearby in Ile Saint-Louis, and we just cross over a bridge, and it's usually the night we get there. So I have many pictures of Notre Dame, and it really is an important cultural icon. So.
It is, and I went and looked through my photos, and I found one from like 2007, I think, was the only good one I really had. And so I edited it, and then I put it on Instagram, and I noticed that I tried to make it black and white, and everything was black and white, but this one person's pants were red, which is weird. But now it's like, did you take this photo? I go, yeah. She's like, how did you do that? I'm like, honestly, I don't know. It just happened. So, it's I can't explain it, but
I can explain it. I'll talk to you off the air.
Okay, I want to hear that.
I've done that myself. There are a number of filters that will do that. It's an easy thing to do with channels.
But I wasn't trying to do it.
No, I know, but by accident you probably hit one of those filters.
Everyone must have been wearing black and white except this one person.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, that's the only thing I could think of. Yeah. But I don't think so because it was in the springtime, and not everyone wears black and white in France. But I do have another. I have an app if we have time.
Yes.
Okay, so I co-host a Travel Skills Twitter chat every Friday. And
wait a minute. Tell me about that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've been doing it for 6 years.
Every Friday. It's at Travel Skills?
Well, that's the handle, but everyone uses a hashtag. So it's a hashtag Travel Skills.
Okay.
And last week, Australia sponsored. But, it's 10 questions, and we ask the audience, and we give travel advice. And so.
And when on Friday?
12 o'clock Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific.
I am going to do this next Friday.
I thought you're off Twitter.
Well, I have Twitter accounts I can use.
Okay, good. We love to obviously love to have it. More people the merrier. But so I always get tips from it too. And one of them was from a flight attendant, Heather Poole, when I asked, what's the tips for dealing with travel cancellation or delays? And she said, all the flight attendants I know, we download FAA Wait. So it's 99 cents. It's not endorsed by the FAA, but I guess she says you find out about delays at airports before even flight crew or airport workers, some of them, behind the scenes like gate agents.
Wow.
She said, obviously you got to check your airline to find out for any delays, but you can get at least a good idea about, ground stops, ground delays. And actually I just went live with it now, and the only airport that's showing a delay is, guess what?
Actually, San Francisco, SFO, my old airport. I tell you.
And actually, in the last 5 minutes, Newark just showed up.
SFO is going to be bad for a while. They're fixing a runway, so they're down a runway.
Yes, it says due to general volume. It's a 16 to 30 minute rate, and it's increasing.
Yeah.
And in Newark right now.
That's my travel tip. Never, ever, ever fly in or out of SFO. Or Chicago O'Hare, for that matter. In the winter, they got snow. In the summer, they got lightning.
Yep. So how was Oakland? Did you have delay?
Yeah, we went in and out of Oakland. No problem.
Yeah, well, Hawaiian Airlines is the most on-time airline in America.
I don't, sometimes I feel like that has more to do with where they're going than.
It has everything to do with the weather because.
All airlines try to be on time. It's not like they're going, should we leave now? No, come on, I want another cup of coffee. We can leave in a little bit. That's not it.
No, it's a Hawaiian Islands.
It's the weather. Yeah.
Yeah, and where they're going is usually, they only do a couple. Although they just started flying to Boston, by the way, which is now the longest domestic.
They were talking about that.
Flight.
Yeah.
And they just started it a couple weeks ago.
I thought Easterners went to the Caribbean.
They do, but
not Hawaii.
Hawaiian does have one from New York. Also,
maybe Hawaii's up and coming amongst the rest of the nation. We Californians have had it to ourselves for so long.
Yeah, it's never been cheaper to fly to Hawaii thanks to Southwest.
So great. I love Hawaii. All right, well, I'll save a shave ice for. I did. I saved it, but now it's just a colorful glass of water. So
that's my favorite.
Johnny Jet. You'll find him at johnnyjet.com. He's on the Twitter at Johnny Jet, Instagram too, and he joins us every week at this time. Safe travels, Johnny.
Thank you. You too.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls right after this. So there you have it. Where are you going next? Are you leaving anytime soon, or are you going to stay in Toronto for a while? Or?
You know what? You never know.
Yeah, never know with JJ.
I never know either.
He doesn't even know. Calls come in. So you didn't. I thought that travel thing in Florida was the week we were in Hawaii, but you didn't do that one.
No, which one? I did. I was in Florida.
The cruise one. The cruise one.
The cruise one.
They invited me.
Yeah, Sea Trade. It was. That was last week.
Oh, you were at Sea Trade. Okay.
Yeah. I spoke I spoke in 2 sessions same day.
Yeah, because I really wanted to do it because I want to, get in good with the cruise lines.
Oh yeah. I mean,
I want to be your speaker for the week. Here's how you use an iPhone. I could do that.
I think it was April 10th to the 12th.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
It was while we were in Hawaii. I had to say no, unfortunately. They asked me to host a panel.
They do it every year in Miami now. It used to be Fort Lauderdale. They just moved it.
Well, I told them, I said, please, I would love to come next year.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I mean, they would have you up on the big stage. I was on a smaller stage.
No, they wouldn't. But I would like to get to know all those people, if you know what I mean.
Of course. Yes. And actually, I talked about you at a couple of them.
Oh, good. Yeah, put in a good word for Leo.
I will.
He's ready to retire.
Well, it's funny because one of the panels
live on a cruise ship. I want to live on a cruise ship for the rest of my life.
Actually, I just saw a story about a woman who's been living. A couple have been doing the last 7 years.
Yeah.
So, anyway, good for you.
All right. Have a wonderful. Give my love to Natalie. Have a great Easter.
You too.
Thank you.
And I'll speak to you next week.
All right.
Everybody, take care.
Bye. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Let's dance, everybody, shall we? 8888 Ask Leo. Max in Placentia, California. Hello, Max.
Hello.
Welcome to the show. What's up? Thanks for hanging on, first of all. You've been very patient. I've been watching you, and you're very patient. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to know your opinion on the new Xbox One S with out of disc port.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? So they call it diskless, and it's dumb me, I thought, oh, that means there'll be no hard drive in it. No, there's a hard drive in it. There's no optical drive. The DVD player that is in most game machines, and the reason is, of course, because for years that's how you installed a game. But nowadays, I don't know. You tell me. When you buy a game, Max, do you buy the disc? Do you go to GameStop, buy the disc, and install it that way, or do you just download it?
It depends. If it's new, then I'll buy it online. But
yeah, because it's faster, right? You can get it right away. That's true, though, and this is another reason why Microsoft might be moving in this direction, as all the other ones are. There's no brisk used disc market if there's no disc. So you just said something that's really important, because if it's an old game, you go to GameStop and you buy a used one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's cheap. However, one of the ways they're doing that is older games now are cheaper, even online. They're often discounted considerably. And the other reason is, even if you buy the disc and install it from a DVD, often you still have a multi-gigabyte download before you can play it, sometimes as much as almost the whole game. So the disc is in many cases just used really to unlock the game for anti-piracy purposes, and it turns out that the best way to prevent piracy is not to print discs at all. So for all of those reasons, I think the industry is moving away from optical media, and this One S diskless is, a perfect example. Is it a lot cheaper? I didn't look at the price.
I think it's $150.
Yeah, that's a big difference, right? That's a whole game right there. Because if you shop around, I think you get a 1X pretty easily for $200. So I would say go ahead. Just understand all the games you install from now on will be digital downloads. But given how much you do that anyway, I don't think that's a disadvantage. As long as you've got the bandwidth. The other thing to keep in mind is bandwidth caps. So, remember that in many cases, residential internet has a limit to how much you can download every month. And you want to keep that in mind, too. Some of these games are very big, 100 gigabytes or more. They could use up a tenth of your cap in one download. So it's a good thing to keep that in mind as well. But as long as you have fast internet, you don't mind. In fact, one of the things I do, and Microsoft made this easy, I have the Xbox app on my phone. And when a new game comes out, if I want it, I can do it while I'm at work on the phone. I shouldn't admit to doing this, should I? I can launch the Xbox app, buy the app, and it'll be downloaded by the time I get home. That's very handy. So I would suggest, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. The other question you might wonder is, well, is there going to be a newer, better Xbox next year? And I don't think so. I think the One X is going to be has a couple more years at least left in it. So go ahead and get it. If it saves you money, you don't mind the fact that you can't have discs. That means there's no, used discs. You can't sell your old games and buy new ones. If you do that a lot, and I know people do as a way to subsidize their habit. The other thing you should look at is these new Game Pass solutions where you pay a monthly flat fee and you get 100 or 200 games. Microsoft has a very good Game Pass solution. You still download the game, but you only pay, effectively you pay what it would cost about 2 games, $100 $120 a year, and you can get many games. So that's another thing to look at, another economy to look at. I think go for it. There's no, it's no different from any other Xbox One X. Sam in Costa Mesa, California.
Years when
hold on. Sam,
didn't make very much.
He's talking to somebody else, I think. Sam.
But the good thing is like
I shouldn't listen into his phone call, should I? I could. I'm tempted. Sam. Sam, listen. You're on the air?
Yeah, they're mine. Anteaters.
Sam. Yeah, he doesn't know. I don't think that's ever happened before. I'm gonna put Sam on hold. Birthday girl Kim Schaffer, can you just nudge him a little bit, and I will go to line 4. Scott in Orange County. Hi, Scott.
Leo, how's it going?
It's great. How are you?
I'm doing super.
Good. What can I do for you today?
I was at NAB, and I've got these artificial intelligent Panasonic cameras I want to talk about. But
hey, let me ask you though, because I was not at NAB this year. Was it good this year?
No. Well, that's like what I wanted to say. Like I go every year for like 20 years, and all the drones were gone. Like you just can see the shift. Massive shifting in the industry.
That's the one reason I like to go to trade shows like that, because especially if you do as you do, you go every year, you really can see how the industry changes, how TVs change at CES. No drones. That's a shocker. What happened?
And all the Chinese sellers, they were long gone this year.
No kidding. Yeah, maybe that's because, of course, the trade war, tariffs, and then all of the heat around Huawei for possibly spying with their 5G devices. That's probably scared the Chinese manufacturers out of the U.S. market.
But, so let me tell you the big unbelievable thing I saw. I go to the Panasonic booth, the Sony booth, the Canon booth every year to see what's going on with the cameras, right? Because I'm in video production, and all of the broadcast stuff for Panasonic was shoved like in the corner, okay? And what they were focusing on was like if you have a news station, everything was point, tilt, zoom cameras.
Yeah.
They were like 8K.
Yeah.
It's all automatic on little, dollies back and forth that one guy could use a joystick to move around, right?
Yeah.
But here was the biggie. It was a $120,000 camera that was about as round like a bowling ball and about 1.5 feet long, and it uses artificial intelligence. So, like a show like Modern Family, that they use the one camera to shoot a show like that.
Yeah.
It uses facial recognition, so that every cast member in a scene, you tell the AI what to track.
Oh, that's nuts.
Because it uses 8K, it literally, you're getting all these streams of up to, I think it was
that's actually funny because that's been in the consumer space for a while. I've mentioned the Mevo Cam does the same thing with a 4K picture. In fact, Facebook's, video screen does the same thing. It's interesting that that's coming into professional production. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I can't see that being used in studio production though, can you?
Well, that's what they were selling.
Boy, I mean, if I'm a director, I want a camera operator, and I want to be able to tell. I don't want a machine to figure out who to look at. I could see using it in, if you're doing a church, church production. That's huge, a huge business, as you know, I'm sure. I could see that, but I just don't see it for Modern Family. That would be terrible.
I think they're trying to save money.
Well, they are, yeah. I don't know. Have you been in television newsrooms, local TV newsrooms? I mean, the last 10 years, there's no camera operators in there at all.
Right.
But they don't need them because TV news is a good example that, it's one shot, two shot, one shot, two shot. You don't have to have a camera operator in there. So that makes sense.
Hey, I wish you would talk about 5G evolution, because I just left Disneyland, and they've got it there. I was in Vegas, they have it too. I was getting 161 up and 61 161 down.
What?
No, wait, I got it backwards. 161 down and 61 up.
Holy cow.
With 5G.
On what phone was that?
Apple 10 Max.
So the Apple phones don't support 5G at all.
Yeah, but AT&T is running out this hybrid because they're kind of behind the Verizon curve.
Yeah, that's just 4G. They call it. You can call it anything you want. You could call it a purple elephant, but it'd still be 4G.
I still was getting 161 up and 61 up and 161 down.
Yeah, I mean that's impressive. That's really impressive. And a lot of that is because they wanted everybody at Disneyland to go, wow. But all you have to do is you put a bigger backhaul in, you put more sites in, so that if a lot of people are using it, probably a lot of people aren't using it. That's a marketing thing. It's not going to, even 5G may not be that good when you really get it out into production. So 5G evolution is
the same in Vegas too.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, because it's okay. I mean, it's 4G. It's just faster 4G, more bandwidth on 4G. It's not that anybody could do it. LTE supports it.
Right.
So
they've upgraded their towers with this extra stuff if you're on their website.
Yeah, that's right.
Double or triple the bandwidth.
Yeah. So that's basically, you put more bandwidth behind it. You're going to give people more bandwidth. Really, in a way, that shows you there's a lot of life left in LTE still. But the 5G is about much, as you probably know, because you're an engineer, obviously, 5G is about much more than just bandwidth. So it's low latency. It's a lot of other things as well that is really, really equally important. Low latency in particular is very important. But it's, in a way, it bugs me a little bit only because it's a misrepresentation. It's really a marketing thing from AT&T. On the other hand, hey, you can't knock it if it's fast. That's incredible speed. It'd be wonderful to get that kind of speed.
I was uploading videos to YouTube, it blew my mind, like a 10-minute video in 2 minutes.
That's why they're not going to roll it. They're not going to, it won't stay that way, I guess, because that's what happens. When people start seeing that speed, they start doing stuff with it. And you may remember a little thing called the original iPhone, which killed AT&T's network for years. They never anticipated that anybody would be doing all that stuff. And they were very, they were like, oh, my God, what are we going to do? They finally, it took them years to get the AT&T network back after the iPhone rollout. In theory, I don't think there's anything 5GE on AT&T can do that can't be done on other networks. They use MIMO. They use, more. They do more bandwidth behind it. Open Signal put out a report that actually showed that any carrier could do this if they wanted to throw that kind of money behind it. I think AT&T is just trying to get on the 5G bandwagon.
The other big thing at NAB, Sony,
without actually doing it.
Sony put a 70-foot by long, 17-foot high screen that was 16K. It was insane.
I'd love to see that. Wow. Was that using that new technology, that new, what do they call it, that lets you put multiple screens together?
No, this was like one
Was it OLED or what was it? What was the screen technology? Do you know?
It was like so radically different. It didn't.
Yeah, there's a new screen technology that you can actually piece it together to make it as big as you want and as high a resolution as you want. I can never remember the name of it. That must be what I think. That's what Sony's showing. Yeah.
It was like clearer than reality.
Did you get real close to it?
Yeah, that was the thing. You put your nose right up against the thing, and it's still crystal clear.
Neat.
Like, you don't see pixels.
Neat. How interesting. So I wonder if it was LED or if it was this new thing. Huh.
If you Google it, they got all kinds of coverage on it.
Yeah. One of the complaints about this new screen technology is you can see the pixels if you get close enough. Micro LED. That's it. Thank you. Yeah. The LED, the pixel sizes are fairly large on those. Interesting. Oh yeah, here it is. It'll be housed at the Shiseido Research Center. Oh, that's interesting. Scooter X sent me the news story. 16K display. Wow. I would have loved to have seen that. 17 feet tall, 63 feet wide. Yeah, it's crystal LED. It's multiple micro LED panels put together. That's how they do it. Yep. Hey, it's great to talk to you. Thanks for the report. I didn't get to NAB, so I'm glad to hear. Was there any VR stuff there? I bet not.
No, that was another thing that just sort of fell off, man. It's just like what's new is old.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Jeez Louise. No VR, no drones. I'm shocked at no drones. That's probably Chinese manufacturers pulling out more than anything, because almost all the drones came from China. Very interesting. Hey, I appreciate the call.
You're welcome.
All right.
Good show.
Take care, Scott. Thanks. Interesting. Well, hey. How are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches. 8888. Ask Leo the phone number if you want to talk high tech. Let's do it. 888-827-5536. Website, techguylabs.com. At techguylabs.com, you'll find show notes. So everything we talk about, links and more. James DeRuvo's writing that all down, putting it all up there for you, and along with audio and video from the show after the fact. techguylabs.com. That's open 7 days a week for you and has a very good search so that you can find the answers to the questions you need. According to DJI, the big drone manufacturer, big Chinese drone manufacturer that makes drones for professional use, we've had a traditional booth at NAB and other large events for the last several years, but we've decided to refocus our promotion strategy. We're evaluating the best ways to support the professional imaging market and our pro consumers, so we're considering alternative options. I don't know what that means. We're going to explore other ways to reach this customer base and demonstrate our support for them. I have to say, we've seen this show before, and it put a trade show, the big computer trade show, out of business. I don't know if people remember or aware of Comdex, but for many years in Las Vegas, Comdex was the biggest trade show of them all, the Computer Dealer Expo. And people would gather, hundreds of thousands of people would gather each year for Comdex, usually around November. And it just died. It really went out of business because of companies like DJI saying, we're going to look at other ways to get to our audience. With the internet, do you need to go to a trade show? You've got this amazing ability to reach out to customers, press on the internet. And so I've often wondered why shows like CES and NAB continue to be successful. Maybe this is kind of an indicator that things aren't going well, in the long run. I think conferences, they're expensive. They're hard for these companies. They spend millions of dollars on the booth. They send out hundreds of employees. It's a lot of work. And for what benefit? Who comes to these and does it get your message out in any way that's better than, say, what Apple? I think Apple, in a way, has shown the way, right, with their own special events. Google's doing them now, and Microsoft's doing them now, and Apple's doing them now. You can get the attention you need. Sony, you don't need to do these big trade shows anymore. So I wonder how much longer they're going to be around. Line 2, let's go back to Sam in Costa Mesa. Hi, Sam. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. I've got a PowerSpec 336 PC. It's probably about 3 or 4 years old. I set it off the other day, went to turn it on, absolutely nothing, no fans, no nothing. Bought a new power unit, plugged that in, still doesn't do anything. So I'm at a crossroads. I don't know if I should put approximately $250 into this particular computer.
I wouldn't.
Power unit.
I wouldn't.
Yeah,
I mean, you already tried a new power supply, and that didn't help.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the first thing. I think you were on the right track. The first thing that you think of when a computer you don't see fans turn on or anything is
nothing.
Yeah, the power supply must have died. But if you replace that and still nothing, then unfortunately the next thing to look at is the motherboard.
Right. So I was figuring picking up another PC. The only thing that concerns me is Windows 10. I mean, I read some stuff today. This thing like loads Candy Crush on you and all sorts.
Yeah, you can clean that up. That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, there's no other version of Windows you can get. There are many versions of Windows 10, but all but the long-term service contract version, which only businesses can get, have, even the Windows 10 Pro version, have this kind of junkware on it, like Candy Crush Saga. Right. There's two different Candy Crushes. They put it on there. It's easy to take off. In fact, I have a PowerShell script that I run that just deletes everything from the Microsoft Store except the Microsoft Store, and that cleans up all of that stuff. Then if you get it from an OEM, you got yours from Micro Center, but if you get it from any OEM, Dell or HP or anybody, they're often going to put additional stuff on there, typically anti-malware programs that you don't want. You have to uninstall those. But once you've done that, you've got a fairly clean version. The best version of Windows 10, if you can get it, is what Microsoft calls the Signature PC. And that is no third-party additional programs from OEMs, but it still has Candy Crush Saga and Microsoft Solitaire. But again, it's not so hard to remove it. Some of it is actually installed. Most of it is not. Most of it is just a little tile on the menu that if you click it, then it downloads and installs the program. So in many cases, just removing the tile. In fact, what I do on Windows 10 now is I remove all the tiles, and that just eliminates that big wide tile menu and gives you a kind of Windows 7 style start menu.
Now, you said you did have a program, I think you called it PowerShell, to remove stuff?
So PowerShell is a Microsoft command line product. It replaces DOS batch files. But it's easy enough. Yeah, if you, in fact, I should post it because the thing is, I don't want to post it because, as you might imagine, it could be used too effectively, and people could use it and go, "What happened? Everything's gone." So I think, honestly, if you search for Jess Frizzell has put her scripts up. There are a number of, and she was a Microsoft employee for a long time. There are a number of scripts up that you can find that will do this, that will clean up Windows 10. The script I used not only did that, but it turned off Cortana, the voice expert. It turned off many of the tracking features that Microsoft turns on. If you're worried about privacy, as some people are, that might be useful. Jess, JESSFRAZ.com, and I'll put a link in the show notes to this, has a good article on setting up Windows. She calls it Windows for Linux nerds, but it's really about setting up a clean version of Windows 10. I think Windows 10 is pretty good. I recently bought a new PC because I'm frustrated with Macintosh and the hardware that Apple's trying to foist on people, particularly those keyboards. So I bought a ThinkPad, which I'm fond of. The ThinkPads come with they don't come with any additional anti-malware programs or anything like that. They do. Everybody, unfortunately, has to install those silly Microsoft things. But then I ran some scripts, and I by hand eliminated some stuff, and I was able to clean it up. I think the thing I most notice with Windows in general is this is a very old code base. Windows has been around a long time, millions of lines of code. And it's starting to be, it feels to me a little creaky. A little, maybe janky would be another word, where there's just things that don't work as well as they ought to, or they don't feel as robust as they perhaps should. However, it's not worse than Windows 7. Is that what you were using?
Yeah, I have Windows 7, and actually on that computer, I have a new SSD that I put in there.
That makes a big difference.
And so, yeah, I was thinking, couldn't I just get a new computer and then stick that SSD in there and run Windows 7?
You probably could. Remember, though, you have all new drivers, right? So what'll happen is you're going to have a lot of stuff on that Windows 7 installed from the old computer that is unnecessary, could even interfere with the new computer. So before you do it, you want to go to the device manager, delete everything, remove all the drivers you can, then take the drive out of the old computer, put it in the new computer, and hope that plug and I almost said plug and pray. Maybe you should plug and pray that everything gets replaced properly. There's also going to be the activation code, the licensing issue, because that Windows 7 is already activated for that other computer. Often that means the new computer won't activate.
Take it.
Yep.
All right.
Just get a new computer. You're ready. It's time. Every 3 years you should get one. It's good for the industry. Think of the children. Think of the poor children of people who work at Microsoft. They need you to buy another computer.
Good point.
Enjoy. I'm a bad one to ask. I buy a new computer every couple of years. I know there are people out there, mostly in the chat room, who are laughing when I say that, because actually I probably buy a new computer every few months, but that's mostly for review purposes. My desktop and my laptop that I use all the time, every 2 years get a new one. Because there are some improvements. And it's good for the economy. That's what I say. Trickle-down economics. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. We're going to take a little time out, come back with more of your calls right after this. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Phone number 8888 Ask Leo. Website techguylabs.com. Ernest, Los Angeles. Hi, Ernest. You're on.
Yes, I wanted to get your recommendations for purchasing a Samsung Galaxy cell phone.
Yeah. I guess the only real question, I love them. And I was just talking about how much I love the S10 Plus. I got the top of the line S10 Plus. The real question with Samsung is, what's your budget? Because these are expensive phones.
The issue. There's more to my question.
Okay.
I can't afford a new one. And so I'm looking for a rather low budget, and I was looking at Amazon for the refurbished.
I see nothing wrong with that. If you're getting it from Samsung, or, I guess with a used phone, it's got to be a trusted seller because you want to make sure it's not been beat up, that it's fully functional, all of that. But there are absolutely trusted sellers out there. We have a sponsor called Gazelle, for instance, that they both buy and sell phones, and they'll sell them back. They sell Samsung phones, and they check them, they back them. That's the most important thing. You get a full warranty because you want to make sure if there's any issue at all, you can return it. The other thing to look at is there are, especially in the Android space, very good phones that are only $200 to $400. You don't have to spend $1,000. You're going to get, the flagship phone if you spend $1,000, but you can get pretty darn close. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of names to also look at. The one I recommend all the time is the Moto G. And they just released the G7, but a G6 would set you back under $200 and is, in most respects, every bit as good as the Samsung. Maybe the camera is 80% of the Samsung camera. But if that's not the most important thing to you, then who cares? Another good choice.
So you say Moto G?
Moto G, Motorola. They call the brand Moto. And the G6... Well, anywhere you get a phone, most carriers carry them. You can also get them online. You can get them on Amazon. Who's your carrier?
Like Verizon.
Verizon, yeah, Verizon sells them. So that's not a bad choice at all. I don't know if you can get the OnePlus phones at Verizon. I think they're mostly sold direct and unlocked. So what you'd do is you'd get it from OnePlus, then take it to the Verizon store and get a SIM for it. Or if you have a SIM in your existing phone, you can just move the SIM over. But the OnePlus is a little more expensive. We're in the $500 to $600 range, but also very nice. I think for $200, that Moto G is an excellent choice. And you could go to the Verizon store and say, hey, let me see the Moto G. What I would stay away from, Samsung is capitalizing a little bit on their brand name with the high-end phones by selling some very low-cost, often free phones. You go into Verizon, they'll probably offer you a Samsung phone like the Insignia for $50 or free with contract, but those are not good phones. And the reason I strongly recommend against them is if you're going to buy a new Android phone, the very first question you should ask is, what version of Android is on it? And if it's not Android, at least Android 8, ideally it'd be the current version, which is 9, don't get it because it won't be up to date, it won't be secure, and it won't be getting security patches. Ideally, you'd get one with Android 9. Like any of the high-end Samsungs, the new Motos would have that as well. So I think you'd be better off with that, but be very careful. You'll see these low-end Samsungs with really old versions of Android. They're not great phones to begin with. You know, you get what you pay for, and there's some significant security issues. They're not getting updated.
Do you know how much memory does the Moto G have?
You can get different versions. If you're talking storage, I think for most people, no one needs more than 64 gigs of storage, which I think is typical on a Moto G. Let me just look at the G7, which is $300. That's the one they just released, so that's the most expensive. I wouldn't get less than 32 gigabytes, and some of that depends on what you're going to put on there. If you're going to put a lot of music or take a lot of photos.
My biggest concern is with the memory. That's the problem with my old Samsung phone.
You ran out of space?
It's run out of memory, so you can't run all the applications.
Oh, yeah, you mean RAM. You mean actual memory. Yeah, sometimes people confuse storage with memory. That's another thing you give up when you get a cheap Samsung like the Insignia. You get very little memory, 2 or 4 megabytes. I think the Moto Gs have adequate memory. I know they have adequate memory. I don't know exactly what they have, but there probably is 4 gigabytes. Those are the ones I recommend. I've never talked to anybody who took my recommendation and was disappointed. You might, check what the price is for a 10e. That's the least expensive version of the new Samsung. I am very impressed with the Samsung Galaxy 10s. Everything that was kind of needed work in the older ones has been addressed. Battery life is great. The E's have a fingerprint reader on the on-off switch that works quite well. A lot of people like that. So generally my recommendation, if you want a budget phone, is to get a Moto G. And you can get the G6 or the G7, the new one. The G6 will be under $200. And I think you'll have no trouble with the amount of memory. Be careful, though, and I think you got bit, actually, by an older Samsung that the carriers sell at a reduced price or zero. Be careful with those. Those are not worth the money you didn't pay. 8888 asks Leo, I'd love to hear from you if you have a thought about that, actually. That's I'm looking at the chat room right now. It looks like there's a number of deals. Moto Z3 at Verizon, which is another phone I recommend. 64 gigs storage, $480. Yeah, that's a little pricey, but that is going to have more RAM, better camera. The Motos are very good. There used to be, of course, Motorola invented mobile phones, and for a long time they were the brand name in mobile phones. Google bought them and then sold them. They only had them for a few years, and they sold them to Lenovo, Chinese manufacturer. And unfortunately, last year, Lenovo moved most of the production out of the United States. They used to design them in Chicago to China. But they seem to be keeping the quality up. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I said megabytes? It's all gigas all the way down. Did I say 4 megabytes? That would be terrible. Do not get a phone with 4 megabytes. You would be very unhappy.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, enjoy your, I think, it might be worth just a trip. to the Verizon store. What I wouldn't do is fall for the, hey, well, here we got this one for $50. Because usually that's the one you don't want.
Amazon refurbished phones in general.
I think they're all right as long as they have a good return policy, and usually Amazon does. Make sure you're getting it from Amazon, though. Half of the sellers on Amazon are third parties that aren't really reliable. But if you're buying it from Amazon, they'll have a good return policy on that. And usually, Amazon kind of strong arms the third parties to at least not rip you off, right? So, I mean...
How was the screen on the Moto G6?
Very good. It's very good. You'll like it. I mean, Which Samsung do you have right now?
I have like a J3.
Yeah, that's the cheap one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one you go in the store, they go, oh, yeah, here, have this for $50.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't. Don't fall for that again. Yeah, if it's not a Galaxy, the Galaxies are going to be the most expensive, but you could probably get an older Galaxy S8 or S7 and probably have a pretty good experience.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's fine. I haven't looked at Amazon lately to see what are you looking at specifically?
Well, that's what I think I got. It fluctuates. I think once I saw Galaxy 8 on Amazon, in the price range that I could afford, which looked good.
That's a great phone. That's a great phone. Yeah, $369, unlocked 64 gigs. Those have 4 gigs of RAM, I think maybe 6. Some of them have 6. I think it's 4, though. Yeah, that'd be fine. $328 unlocked, certified refurbished. Yeah, those are really nice phones. Nothing wrong with those.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, an 90-day Amazon guarantee. I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, that would be fine. Make sure it's compatible with Verizon.
Right, that's the other concern.
Yeah, they sell some that are not. So that's critical. Get one that's Verizon capable.
Right.
Yeah. I wouldn't get an S7. That's probably too old. Get an S8 or later.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
Good. Yeah, no, I don't have a problem with that. If they give you a 90-day return policy, you'll know if it's all right within 90 days for sure.
Oh, okay.
And actually, those S8s are being updated to Android 8 and 9. So, enjoy. Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
Time for a new phone. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's my thing, actually. But I promise not to suck it to you. 8888, ask Leo the phone number. The Gizwiz, Dick DeBartolo, coming up with some kind of goofy gadget as he is wont to do in about 10 minutes. Meanwhile, let's go to Whidbey Island, Washington. Beautiful area. Scott's on the line. Hi, Scott.
Lee, greetings.
Greetings to Whidbey Island. Beautiful area up there. Man, I love it. I have family lives up there. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Sorry. The Moto G6, I just got my Moto G6 a week ago, and it's my third Moto G phone. I have the 4, the 5 Plus, and the 6. Can't recommend it enough.
Good.
Love my
Good.
Motos.
You never run out of RAM. You never have any problems with it. How's the camera on it?
I haven't taken hardly any pictures yet with the 6. I was very pleased with the 4 and the 5 Plus. Good. I'm not a photographer, for what I need and how I use it. The pictures have always been stunning. The one thing I'm reading reviews on the Moto G6 is if there's any complaint, people are complaining about the quality of the photos. But I'm not noticing it. But again, I haven't taken 100 photos yet. So
it kind of depends. If you're really trying to replace a point-and-shoot camera with your camera phone, you probably should get a little more expensive phone. That's all. But if you're just taking snapshots, that's plenty good. That's fine.
That's all I do with it. And then the other thing is I learned from my first one, the Moto G4, spend the money, get the memory. Spend the money, get the memory.
How much storage do you mean storage like 64 gigs or?
Yeah.
How much storage do you have on yours?
I got 64.
Yeah, I think 64 is enough for most users.
Yep, and it's an upgrade for me from 32,
Yeah.
and then I can't remember what my 4 was, but I started to run into problems. But
yep.
The Motorola, I bought an unlocked phone from Motorola directly a couple of weeks ago, and it was on sale. And I got the 64 gig for $200.
See, why would you spend any more? That's a great phone at a great price. Yeah.
Yep.
Good. Yep. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Now, what can I do for you?
Today's issue.
Yeah.
I use Google Hangouts on my iPad Mini.
Yes.
In my Google Hangouts, I have two accounts. I have a personal account and a work account. Today, I went to go call my local bank, and because I'm going to call them, one of the ways to authenticate myself is to use my authenticated number, which is my personal number that's on my Google Hangouts.
Yes.
I went to go use Google Hangouts, and the little phone icon is missing. It's not there today for my personal account. I switch over to my work account. The little phone symbol is there.
Oh, boy.
I rebooted the app. I rebooted the Mini. I'm at a loss as to where my little phone icon.
Where'd my phone icon go? Have you you've used it before? Normally?
Oh, I've been using it for years and years and years. Yep.
So there's a couple of possibilities. And is this an outbound call you're going to make?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. There's a couple of possibilities. Google continually changes Hangouts. And I think what you're getting bit by is Google has announced that it is eliminating Hangouts for all but Google Fi users. They're going to move business users. You're going to see this with your business Hangouts too. They're moving business users to Google Chat and Google Calls. And they don't want anybody who's not a Google Fi user to use Hangouts, which I find to be problematic because Google has not replaced it with anything as good. So
I have Google Suite. Did I not just recently see that they were making Hangouts part of the core product of Google Suite?
I think they are, but it is part of the core product, but they're going to rename it to Hangouts. And Hangouts they're going to divide the capabilities, the call capabilities and the chat capabilities into two. But this is the problem with Google is that their messaging, particularly, it's a problem with Google in general, but their messaging plans are extremely confusing. So I may be confused about. It said it was going to split. So the last I saw is it was going to split it into two different apps for business users. Hangouts Chat and Hangouts Meet, which is the video conferencing solution. Both enterprise G Suite users and consumers would be migrated sometime this year. At Cloud Next 2 weeks ago, they announced that Hangouts Chat is heading to Gmail. So that's the half of it that's just chat, and that's going to go to Gmail. And then I guess right now, in many cases, you can't even get Hangouts Chat and Meet. But at some point, you're going to get a message. So my suspicion is, and then Hangouts in general is going away. So my suspicion is that's what you're seeing is that the capabilities are slowly being, it's starting to decay. It's starting to fall apart.
Now, both of those numbers are Google Voice numbers. What would you recommend or suggest I do?
Well, voice is also. I wonder how long voice is going to continue. I wish Google. So here's why I use Hangouts, and I do use it religiously. Now I use it with a Google Fi account. So they have said that we're going to keep it alive for Fi users because they have no good alternative. Google Hangouts was, as you know, it's not just SMS. It's much more like WhatsApp because it's a program that can send and receive text messages via SMS, but also can do it via data, can make and receive phone calls, and works, and this is why I use it, on iPhone, Android, and desktop. So I can use it everywhere. And I give out my Google Voice number, which is my Fi number now. Yep. And when people call that, then I can see those messages everywhere, right? Or answer them everywhere and all that. That's a nice feature. Apparently too good a feature set for Google because they have not replaced it with anything comparable. On Android, they want everybody to start using Android Messenger. And that doesn't do all of the same things. There's no Android Messenger for iOS, for instance. I apologize for not giving you a clear path. My suspicion is the reason that phone call icon went away is that's part of the degradation of Google Hangouts for non-business users. I don't know. Google Voice, they haven't implied is going away, but But without Hangouts, Google Voice isn't as useful. So I just don't know. What Google should have done, any normal company would have done, is craft a feature-complete replacement and then phase it out. But they can't really do that, can they? So I don't know what the answer is. I guess so you want to use that particular phone number, right? Oh, did I lose you? I guess I did. Yeah, you want to use that particular phone number. So I just don't know what the answer is. This is why people use WhatsApp. I refuse to use WhatsApp because it's owned by Facebook, but Google has just not done a good job of this. Honestly, if Apple would take its messages program, which is very good and does all of the above and more, and make an Android version of it, I'd use it. But and maybe it's just because I'm a weirdo, because I use both Android and iOS, Windows and Mac. And, so I want it to, whatever I use to work on everything. I guess that's probably not a typical use case. People are either one or the other, right? But man, Apple, if you just make messages for Android, you'd own the world. And man, Google, if you just make a decent replacement for Hangouts, you'd own the world. Apparently nobody wants to own the world. You know what they want to do? They want to lock you in. That's what they want to do. Apple's not going to ever make messages for Windows or Android because they want you to use Apple products and Apple products alone. This is what happens when companies start looking out for their bottom line more than they do for users. And it's my contention. I believe that, honestly, the best way to improve your bottom line is to think exclusively of your users. Make them happy. That's where the money comes from. Don't think of them as something to squeeze. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. There's Dickie D. Hello, Ricardo.
Leo, how you doing?
I am wonderful. How are you?
Wow. Are you rested?
Rested, tanned, and ready to run.
Oh, God. And moving the show to Hawaii?
If only.
Oh, really?
No, I can't move the show to Hawaii.
Oh, okay.
You know what I found out?
Yeah.
It's an island.
When did that start?
I know. And there's no bridge. It's like thousands of miles away from land.
Oh, that's no good.
No, that's no good.
I'm glad you told me. I'm not going.
Yeah. So I think I want to be somewhere tropical, warm, but that there's a bridge or you can drive somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Crazy, I know. I don't know if I can get it done, but I'm hoping. So how are you? How's everything? Is it beautiful in New York?
No, it's crapola here. We're not having a good spring at all.
Lisa said the strangest thing to me the other day. She said, "You're going to think this is weird, but I'm kind of missing New York." I went, "What?
Lisa? Our Lisa?"
So I immediately booked a flight. No, I didn't. But I said, well, there is a remedy for that.
Oh, my God.
Because I've been trying to talk her to go to New York twice a year at least.
Oh, my God. I thought I scared her when we were walking down the block and we started crossing the street. And she said, "It's turning yellow." I said, "Lisa, in New York, the traffic lights are a suggestion."
Yeah. She's got, she is a New Yorker in spirit, though.
Oh, is she? Oh,
the
okay.
only thing she doesn't like is, she says, they put the trash on the sidewalk. And I said, well, where do you want them to put it?
But just certain days of the week. I mean, in this neighborhood.
She doesn't like it, but it's a city. Where you can't, what are you going to, you can't, you have to put trash on the sidewalk in bags. What else are you going to do? You're not going to have a big trash bin or something. She's used to...
It's a little neater now. Like I know from talking to the guys who put it out, you can't put trash out till 4 p.m.
Oh, good.
Of the night they're going to pick it up.
Okay, see, that would solve. So
it's not going to be there for long.
Hey, listen, I don't even want to stop.
Me.
Good song for Big Pee Wee, our musical director. Disco is, of course, the lifestyle, the theme. Everything there is to know about this guy right here, Mad Magazine's maddest writer, Dick DeBartolo. He's also our Gizmo Wizard, or GizWiz. And he can do the rope. He can do the hustle. he can do the funky chicken.
I can do the funky duck too.
It's like the chicken, but it's a little lower.
Variation. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a little lower. Well, listen, I got sucked in by the box, okay, because it looks like disco lights around this device.
I want whatever that is. Yeah. That looks cool. Well,
and anyway, it is from Rove, which is kind of the car division of Anchor.
Oh, ROAV. I know. Actually, yes, I think I have the Viva, the older ROAV.
Oh, okay. Well, this they showed us at CES, but it just came out this Tuesday. It is the Rove Vault, which now brings Google Home to your car.
So the Viva was Amazon's Echo.
Exactly.
This is Google Home. This is Google's assistant.
This is Google Home, and like the other one, it has charging ports on the side, 2.4 volt charging ports, but on the top, it makes it more convenient. Still uses your phone, but if your phone is laying on the dash or slips down between the seats, this has 2 noise reduction microphones right on the top. So
what do you mean it uses your... I don't understand. It uses your phone.
Well, it still has to use Bluetooth to your phone. Okay?
So you can't use this unless you have a phone with Google on it.
That is correct. Okay, that is correct. So this is more or less to also bring the Google Home to people who don't have modern cars, because they even have a little mini jack on the side and include an aux-in cable in case you don't have Bluetooth.
Holy cow. So it will pair, though, with your car sound system.
Exactly. It pairs with your car sound system and your phone.
But this is really for people with Android devices, at least for now. They say they're working on an iOS one.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a beta that you can already download, but it is not as full featured as the Android phone does.
When you get something like this, considering you don't drive and you don't have a car, do you have like a little cigarette lighter in your house you can stick it in?
I do. I absolutely do.
You do?
Yes. I have a little... well, I told you once I wanted to buy a Ford dashboard because they were...
Well, that'd be perfect.
After the car show, I said...
Do they sell the dashboard? Oh, yeah, at the car show. That's right. They must have those. Yeah.
No, I have a couple of plug-in USB 12-volt things.
Oh, that's cool.
I just got this yesterday. I'm going to actually use this down at the boat.
Oh, your boat has a cigarette lighter.
Absolutely. Yeah. All boats do. You know, almost everything does now, because so many plugins, on the boat. I have a power spotlight that plugs into the cigarette lighter, and the charger for the VHS.
Nowadays, they don't even call them cigarette lighters anymore. They call them accessory. 12-volt accessory.
12-volt accessory.
Yeah.
So this is right now. It's only Best Buy and Anchor.com. I don't even see it on Amazon.
It's not
yet.
on Amazon. I just went, because I thought it'd be fun to have.
So, it's only been out.
Have you tried it or?
No, I did not, because I haven't run down to the boat.
So I'm really curious. The Rove Viva, and I say Rove just so that people know how to spell it.
Yes, exactly.
I think it's pronounced Rove. You're right, but it's ROAV. The Rove Viva. These are both at GOROAV.com. I left it in for a while, but after a while, it wasn't that useful.
Okay.
So, on the other hand, I find Google a little bit more useful. Its assistant is a little bit more useful. See,
to my mind, the thing that I thought was good is for people who don't have a permanent place for their phone to go.
Right.
So they just leave it laying on the dashboard or on the seat.
I keep it in my pocket or it's in the
briefcase. And this way, with the 2 microphones facing you and noise reduction mics, I think you'll have a much better shot at this guy, I don't want to say, the Google person will be able to hear you clearly. Mr. Google, that's a good way.
Mr. Google.
The other thing I call Alex A, so I don't set them off.
Alex A. And Siri, we call her Shlomo.
Oh, really? Oh,
well,
okay.
You can't say it because you trigger people's things at home.
It's very funny because I looked up a guy who just reviewed it, and suddenly my Google Home called my CVS. Everything he was doing in the demo, my Google Home started doing.
So frustrating when that happens.
Yeah.
It buys doll houses and things you don't want. So the Rove Vault, you can find out about it if you go to gizwiz.biz. And you just click the GizWiz Visits the Tech Guy button, and you'll see that. While you're there, though, click the other big button. What the heck is it? For a chance to win an autographed copy of Mad Magazine. Only a little more time remains. By the end of April, you'll have to come up with an answer for what that... I know what it is. It's an air mattress for your smartphone. It's perfect.
That's not a bad answer. It's not a bad answer.
Yeah. I know. Anyway, that's what it looks like. Or
the host
I know.
of the show is eligible.
I know what it is. Next time you go to the pool, when you get a mat for you to float on, you can get this for your phone to float on. That's what it is. It's a phone pool mat. Anyway, that's an idea of what you might want to try to get an autographed copy of Mad Magazine. 6 for the right answer, 12 for the cute, silly answers that are wrong. And, of course, the decision of the judges is final. You'll be playing for the April edition of Mad Magazine. June. That's it looks like he's got a bunch of Alfred E. Newmans in a storage locker. I don't know. I'm not sure what this means.
I'm not sure either, but they're in California and I'm here.
It's a little weird. Anyway, you know what I decided after trying these devices? I'll try the Bolt, but the next car I have has got to have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto in it, because that's basically what happens. And then you get Siri or Google. You could talk to it and all that. It's built into the car, the screen and everything. The rental car we had in Hawaii had this, and it was like, oh, of course. Although I have to say, CarPlay is much nicer than Android Auto, I thought. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, if I buy a car, I know what to do.
Next time when you get a car, have you ever owned a car?
Never.
Many boats?
I am 26 boats. I'm on my 26 boats.
26? You've had more boats than I've had cars. That's amazing.
Yeah, and probably more horsepower than you ever saw.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Thank you, Dickie D.
Okay, but it's next week.
.biz, that's his website. We'll see you next week. GIZWIZ.biz. And, of course, his fabulous podcasts he does with Chad Johnson. The old redhead, Chad Johnson, is at gizwiz.tv. Wrapping it up for the week. Thank you to Big Pee-wee for a great job as our musical director this week. Kim Schaffer, the birthday girl. Happy birthday, Kim. Thank you for being here, answering the phones for us. We'll be back next time. I hope you will, too, because really, the whole purpose of this show is for us to get together and talk about technology so we can use it better in our daily lives and not be taken advantage of by all the people who make the technology. That's my job, and I'm glad to do it. I'm Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Thank you so much for joining me. We'll see you next time. Have a great Geek Week. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.